Hi everyone, so as promised I'm making this video to show how you can have Linux operating system running on your machine as the host operating system and have a guest Windows operating system installed through a VM that allows for a GPU pass-through when you're using only one graphics card. Okay, so before we start, there's a couple of things that you need to make sure that you have done. If you have an AMD CPU and motherboard, you need to have IOMMU enabled and SVM enabled in the BIOS of your computer. Okay, the next thing is if you have an Intel one, you need to have VTD enabled or VTX enabled before we start. One other thing to check before you start, or things that we need, I suppose not one, you need multiple. So you're going to need an ISO of Windows 10. An official one from the Windows website would be perfect because that will work. I've tried with copies of it that just failed. Okay, so get the official one. The other thing is now to make sure that you have your graphics drivers enabled for Ubuntu or elementary OS, whichever operating system you're using. Right, so the next step is simple enough. We just need to make sure we have Ubuntu updated. Okay, so the first thing we do is open up our favorite terminal. It's opened up on the wrong screen there. Open up a terminal and then sudo apt-get date. Okay, and because I've already done that bit, it's obviously got nothing to update. It might take you a little bit longer. So the next thing we do is sudo apt-get upgrade. Now this is a fresh install of Ubuntu. The only thing I've done is installed OBS. Okay, so there is no secret packages here. I haven't done anything extra. Okay, so sudo apt-get upgrade, or sudo apt-get upgrade, and that job is done. Okay, so the next step is to update the Grub loader. This is quite simple. Okay, all we have to do is edit a specific file. So it's sudo nano /etc default and then grub. Yep. Okay, so in here you're going to see you're going to look for this line here, grub command line _linux _default. Okay, and at the moment it just says quiet splash on mine, but for me we're going to change it. Okay, so I have an AMD CPU, so I'm going to show you what we type in here. So I'm going to delete this quiet splash because I already have the text. So it's AMD _IOMMU equals on IOMMU equals PT. And you don't actually need this IOMMU equals 1. I just have it in there, and because it's working I'm just leaving it there. Now this part's important. You have video equals efifb :off, and then the quiet splash again. Okay, so once you have that inputted in there, you can close the file and save it. Now for the Intel people, I'm going to put basically the command into the description so that you know how to do this, and there will be links on how to follow for Intel as well. So Control X closes this file because I'm using Nano, but whatever text editor you're using, you can change it. So I say yes, and I don't want to change the file name, so that's very important. File name to write etc default grub. So you just hit enter. That's done. The next thing you want to do is you want to actually update the grub. So sudo update grub. Okay. There we go. No problems at all. Came in perfect. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to reboot. So sudo reboot. I'm not going to hit it here. Obviously, it's going to cut off my video. But reboot your system. Very important. Don't skip this step. After you've booted, what you want to do now is just make sure that those settings have taken. So go sudo cat etc proc command line, and hit enter. You'll see that the boot image is correct. There's a root ID, and then you'll see that we have AMD underscore IOMMU equals on, then equals PT equals 1, the video setting, and quiet splash. That means that we have the correct settings when we used our Grub loader entry. Now you want to find the PCI address of your graphics card and its accompanying sound device. So open up the terminal, ls PCI space -nnk. Yep. So once you type that in, you're going to see each of these addresses on the side. You'll see in my one here, I know exactly which address it is for my PCI device. So mine is 06:00.0, and then for the sound it's just a .1 at the end. So what you're looking for is your graphics card, which mine is here. You can see that the kernel in use is AMD GPU, and then the sound device, and you can see that the kernel for mine is different. But just take note of these two addresses here on obviously on your terminal. On mine, I have this address. You're going to have a different one. Next step is to install the packages that we need. Now I'm going to put this as a command within the description of this video. So I'm just going to paste it in here. Sudo apt install. We're going to install the Qemu-kvm package, the Libvirt clients package, the Libvirt-daemon-system package, bridge-utils package, virt-manager, which is the virtual manager, and ovmf. Okay, so we hit enter. It's going to ask us if we want to install these, or in my case, it might just install them because I think I've done this part before. Okay, now it could take a bit of time for those packages to install, but because I've just installed them and then uninstalled them for the video, it shouldn't take too long for me. Okay, and that's done. Now what you want to do is edit the Libvirt configuration files. To do that, we go sudo nano /etc/libvirt/libvirtd.conf. Okay, now because I'm using nano, I can do a search here. And what we're going to search for is, let me just bring up my document. We're going to search for Unix _sock_group. So Control W, Unix _sock_group. Now you can see here that this is actually commented out on my one. So I'll uncomment it. If this isn't in your file, write it in. So you're going to write Unix _sock_group equals quotations libvirt. Okay, next thing we're looking for is Unix _sock_rw. So Control W, Unix _sock_rw. Again, mine's commented out, so I'm going to uncomment it. Okay, so what you need is Unix _sock_rw_perms equals quotations 0770. Now we're going to look for we're going to look for log filters. So log _filters, hit enter, and I didn't find one there. Doesn't mean it's not here. Okay, there is a line for it here, but I'm going to copy in my own. Okay, so this way we don't have a mistake. Okay, so what you want to do is copy in this. I've missed an L there. So log _filters equals quotations 1:QEMU. Log _outputs equals 1, and that just means the first one is file var log libvirt.log, right? This just means that when we run libvirt, we're going to have log files that we can look at and use to troubleshoot. Okay, once you do that, just close and save the file. Now what we want to do is add usernames, or sorry, a user to our Libvirt group. So the command's going to be there. It's sudo user mod -a -G libvirt and then $, brackets who am I. That basically just means it's going to take the username from my user at the end. Hit enter. Next thing you want to do is sudo systemctl start libvirt d, 1v in there, my apologies. Okay, same command again, except you're going to have enable. So sudo systemctl enable libvirt d. Okay, what you want to do again is reboot here. So I'm going to reboot. Now what we want to do is edit the QEMU configuration. So to do that, go to sudo nano /etc/libvirt qemu.conf. Hit enter. What we're looking for now is user in the file. Okay, and that could take a while because there'd be the word user a lot. So maybe control user equals might do it, space equals. Here we go. So it's commented out. So I'm going to uncomment mine. If it's not there, obviously for you, just enter this. So change it to user equals quotations and then your username. You're going to do the same thing for group. So just down here, you can do a search if it's not here. Or if it's not, obviously if it's not here, you need to enter it again. But same thing again. Hit enter or do this, right? That's it. And yep, save again. We're going to restart libvirt again. So systemctl restart libvirt d. I don't know why it's asking for my password there to do it, but okay. Right, now what you want to do is create a username for KVM and the group. It's going to do both. So sudo user mod -a -g kvm and then your username. So I'm going to delete this and type in my username. And then you want to do the same for libvirt. So it's going to be sudo username -a -G libvirt quotations and then the username. Hit enter. That's it. And again, you're going to want to sudo reboot just to make sure. Okay, now we're at the important step. Okay, so what we're going to do is open up Virtual Manager. Assuming that you did all the setting, or you made all the settings correct and you rebooted, you should get no warning here, okay? What we're going to do is create a new virtual machine. So we click here, which is the new icon. It looks a little different between Ubuntu and elementary OS, just slightly. Not enough for you to be concerned, but in case it doesn't look like this, don't worry. I'm going to use an ISO to install it, so I'm going to select local install media. I'm going to go searching for my ISO. What you can do here is if you don't have an option, go down to browse local and find the Windows 10 ISO that you have. My one is this one here. Okay. Down here you can see it says Microsoft Windows 10. Just make sure that that actually identifies it automatically. If it doesn't, just untick this and type it in. Okay, forward. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to just leave it as default, but you know, because this is not my actual this is not my actual machine. This is just a hard drive I threw into the machine to do this for a demo. But you can change it here. Obviously, don't give all of the RAM that you have to the virtual machine. That will only cause problems. You can pretty much almost give the entire CPU to the machine, because the way we're doing it, you won't actually be using the host machine at the same time as the guest virtual machine. Okay, so I'm just going to click forward. I'm going to give it 40 gigs of space here just because it's default. For my other demonstration, you would have seen that I had two hard drives, one with Windows installed on it and one with Linux installed on it. And the advantage of that system, if you want to do it that way, is that you can dual boot and use PCI pass-through. You can use either one with the same Windows installation. So I'm going to click forward and take the 40. It's important here. So when you get to this window, go down and click Customize Configuration before install. Click Finish, and it will open up a new window just like this. What you want to do is go into CPUs. First go into Overview. Make sure that you have Q35 chosen, and then you want the UEFI option here. We're going to go with code.fd at the end here. When I did this on elementary, there was only two options here. There was BIOS and one UEFI option. So just take whatever one you can if it's there. But this is important that you do this. Okay, click yes to save, or you can click apply. Now, when you go down here, copy host CPU configuration. Okay, now you can manually set the topography if you want. That's up to you, but I'd advise to do this, right? The reason is that when you actually go to use the virtual machine, you want it to realize which CPU you're actually using. Otherwise, it's going to emulate it and just give you whatever version it thinks you have, or its own emulated version. You can edit memory here. We're going to go in here and we're going to say enable boot. We're going to select the SATA option. I'm just going to put it forward, but either one is fine. Okay, so you want enable boot menu, and you want to include the SATA CD-ROM. When I did this in elementary OS, this was not a SATA disk by default. It was an IDE disk. You need to change it, because when you use UEFI, it won't recognize IDE. Okay, also, if you see anything else, if you're doing it in elementary OS, you might see other options that say IDE as well, including the storage. Swap them over to IDE, or sorry, to SATA, not to IDE. What else do we need to change here? We are good, I believe, on all these other settings. Yep, you can mess around with these later once you get this working. Okay, so we're going to go begin installation. It's going to allocate the 40 gigs of space that we told it to use. It's taking a bit longer than I expect, but it's doing it anyway. Then once you go in here, you're going to see that it's press any, or it's going to boot automatically. Here we go. So press any key for CD and DVD boot. You'll see Tiano Core here, and then it's going to load into a Windows boot menu or installation menu, just like if you were installing Windows into the machine by standard. I'm going to select my keyboard layout, just United Kingdom, install now. Just going to make the window a little bigger here. Okay, it's going to ask you for a key here, right? Because I'm using obviously the official Windows ISO. Right now, be aware, if you're going to do this with a key and you're going to bind a key to this installation, Windows 10 binds the key based on the hardware that the machine is using. That's a complication when you're using a VM, because the VM emulates the hardware. So you change the hardware in the VM, the emulated hardware, you change it, the key is no longer working for your operating system. Okay, so I have two keys for this when I'm in my normal installation. I have one on the VM and I have one when I dual boot, because when I boot directly into the operating system, I'm using the physical hardware of the machine. So for now, I'm going to say I don't have a product key. That's just simply because this is a demo. Again, it's not my real operating system. So I'm going to click next. I'm going to choose Windows 10 Pro just because that's what I've used previously and it works. So I'm gonna use it again. Accept. Okay. I'm gonna go to custom installation. Obviously, if you've done this previously, you can use the upgrade option. If you have another VM setup and you're just installing over it. I'm going to say new here, just so like you would if you were using Windows. And we're going to click OK. Okay, it's going to separate out each of the reserve system file or partitions. Then we're going to go to partition 3. Going to click next. It's going to install here. There's no point obviously me showing you the rest of this. It's just going to go to the normal Windows installation. It's going to reboot, then it's going to ask you to set up Windows. So set up Windows as if you were setting it up on a real machine. Go through all the way until you see the dashboard or the desktop. And then what you want to do is shut down. Now, as you can see, we have Windows booted in. Okay, so that's working. So what you want to do now is go in and shut that down. And then wait while it shuts down. Awesome. Okay. Now I'm going to close this window just so you can see it from the start. Okay, so next step is to open up Virtual Manager. Click on, or right click on Windows 10 or Win 10, open, and then click the little information icon up here. What you want to do now is you want to remove a couple of things. Okay, so you no longer need the SATA CD-ROM. Windows is installed now. You don't need the installation media anymore. Might as well remove it. Okay, boot options, just make sure enable boot menu is on. SATA disk 1 is there, or SATA, whatever you have labeled it as. You can remove tablet, remove that. Remove display spice, remove. Sounds ICH9 you can keep or remove. Serial 1, might as well remove it unless you're using a serial connection. Probably you're not. Channel spice, remove that. Video QXL or any other video option that you have here, remove it. Okay, what that does is it emulates a display on your screen so that when you're running it in, when we were running it a second ago, it was running through this option. So we want to remove that. The rest you can kind of leave if you want. Okay, next what you want to do is you want to go to add hardware. Then you want to go to PCI host. You can see here on the side those addresses. So if you remember, my one was 00:06.1 and .0. So I'm going to look through the list here until I see those, and here they are. Okay, so this is my graphics card. This is the address 0600.0, and you can see the breakdown of the graphics card here. So I'm going to add that. Okay, then we're going to do it again. We're going to go add hardware, PCI host, and then we're going to add the sound companion for the graphics card. Okay, and you can see it here again. HDMI audio instead of just simply the name of the graphics card, which my one is an RX 580. Okay, so I'm going to click finish. That's added. Next thing you want to do is add the the USB host, because you're going to want to add the keyboard and the mouse. Otherwise, when you load into the operating system, you're going to have no keyboard or mouse and have to do it again. So you might as well do it now. So I'm going to add my keyboard, add hardware, USB host, and I'm going to add my mouse. There we go. Okay, and then we have more work to do, but that's this section for now. And then that will work. So now what we do is /install hooks. What this is going to do basically in the script is move a bunch of files that he's created in the hooks folder. So there's a QEMU configuration file. Then there is 2 hook scripts that are going to be moved into one of the bin folders. What that will do then is when the system starts up, or when the VM starts up, it'll run a startup script, and when the VM shuts down, it'll run a teardown script. So we're going to hit enter. Okay, it's telling me I can't remove certain files because they're write protected. That's okay. That's an issue on my side because I've already cloned this. Okay, so I'm going to go cd No, I'm not. I'm going to remove those files and then do it. Okay, so cannot move this. Sure we can. We're going to remove it. And then paste it in there. Move that one. We're going to remove the teardown script. Because I said so, that's why. Right, and then we're going to remove this no sleep service. There we go. Now you'll do what you're told. Or it won't. No such file or directory, can't access. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not sudoed. Simple solution. To verify that those files are working, what you want to do is, or that those files were copied over, just bring up the terminal, go sudo cat /bin bfio-startup.sh. You'll see that the file is there. Okay, so we know that that's working. Okay, and then the teardown. And there we go. So we have a startup script and a teardown script, and we know that that's working. For the next part, you need to go to a website and get your BIOS file. Okay, so what you do is you go to www.techpowerup.com/VGA BIOS. And you go in there, you'll see GPU brand on the left. Just click on whichever one is relevant to you. Anyone using a relatively new AMD GPU, it's going to be AMD, not ATI. ATI is obviously the older brand name. Then we're going to go to card vendor. Now in my case, I'm using XFX. Okay, so I know that, but obviously if you have a different one, go look for it. Then go to card model. Mine is an RX 580, as I said, so I'm going to look for that somewhere. There we are. Okay. Now, there's relatively few options on my one. I know that I've got the 8 gig card, and I happen to know that this is the right BIOS file for me. Make sure that you have the right one, okay? Because obviously the BIOS file will be different depending on... sorry, I keep saying BIOS file. It's a ROM file. Sorry, once you have the right ROM file, go in and just download it. So I'm going to download and save this. That's now in my downloads folder. Okay, so I'm going to CD my downloads, and we can see here that I have xf.rx580. Okay, so I'm going to go sudo ch mod. Let me just verify that on my document over here. We no longer need the website once we have that. Just verify what I've done there. Second. Yeah, so we want to basically change the right permissions for this file. Okay, so chmod capital or -R. I'm going to go 775, 755, whatever. 660 will do you, but go 775. And then the ROM file name. Okay, so here we go. We have that. Now you want to do is take ownership of it. So you go sudo chown, your username, so mine's Nightshade, colon, and then a group name, which in most cases will be still the username, so Nightshade again. Then the ROM file name. Now that means that basically we've taken ownership of the file. We gave it read permissions already. So we're going to go ls-l. Should see here that when you look at the XF information, it has something similar to this. Now what we want to do is sudo move mv, and we're going to move that file to user, so usr /share/VGA BIOS. Oh, we got to make that file first. So sudo make dir /user share VGA BIOS. It already exists. Okay, so why can't I move it? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. So we want to move the file. So sudo mv xfx.rx580, and we want to move it to share VGA BIOS. There we go. My fault. Okay. Once you've done that, what you now want to do is edit the configuration inside your virtual machine. So open up, clear the console, sudo virsh vi or sh and win10. Oh, sorry. Virsh edit win10. Okay, what you want to then do is go down to find your PCI bus for your graphics card. If you remember, mine was 06:00:0. So actually I could type that in here. I could do Control W and then I go 0x06. There we go. And I found it. So that's my address. I want to go up here, make sure I have all of this. Address, source. Yep. So in between source and address, I want to put a space. So hit enter. Okay. Now that's actually the wrong one, isn't it? Yep, I'm in the wrong one, sorry. You need to make sure you're in the host dev one here. Okay, so go down, host dev 04. I haven't gone far enough, have I? Yep, in there. So in between source and address, you want to put your space. Then what you want to put is the following. I'm going to copy and paste this over to you. To find where I've put it. Yeah. So here, I'm just going to copy it in. Okay. So you're going to put in ROM file equals. Just space it out so that's in the right location. This is an XML file, so it won't be affected. If it was a YAML file, you'd have a big problem here. But it's file var libvirt BIOS. That's not correct. I'm going to change this out. Okay, so we have it under user share VGA BIOS, and then we had a big long string name. We're going to go find out what that is. cd /user /share VGA BIOS ls, and we can see that this is the name of our file here. We're going to copy that out. So we'll just delete what's there, and then we paste in the file name. So what we're basically saying is, you know, when you call this PCI device, go and use this ROM file. So we're going to hit save. Say yes. We're going to hit enter. Configuration edited. That's how we know it worked successfully. Now, obviously, I can't record when I run this VM in a second from the screen, because the screen will go black and disconnect me. So I'm going to show you another video of that work. Basically what will happen now is I should be able to run Virtual Manager, and then I should be able to start up the virtual machine. And once I do that, I should have Windows 10. The screen will, when I click it, the screen will go black from here, disabling the graphics card from Ubuntu. Then it will pass it over to the virtual machine. Then I should be able to load up Windows, shut it down, and it should come back then to Ubuntu. So start by opening Virtual Manager. Okay. Let me start it up. So here we are, Windows 10. Screen goes blank. And we should see it passed over to this screen. It seems to always be the screen for me. I think it's just the way my cards are, or my cables are set up on the GPU. And there we go, piano 4. Okay, and there we have our 3 screens for Windows. Now, once you've done this, you still need to install your graphics drivers as you normally would. But I'm just going to see what happens now when we shut it down. So, shut down. And we should be back now with Ubuntu any second. And there we have it, back with Ubuntu. Now, again, similar to the last video, I haven't done any tweaking here, so this might seem a little slow, but once you start messing with it, installing all the right drivers, you should be good to go.